So on this video, I'm going to be answering some of the questions that I get on TikTok. So let's get into it. So a question that I get a lot is, isn't this coasting? Oh, you're coasting. I'll show you what coasting is. So let's say we're going down this hill here and I've got my clutch down for no reason and I'm just going down the hill, picking up speed as well. This is coasting. Or if I've got my clutch up but my gears are neutral, just rolling down the hill, this is also coasting. Another way to coast is if I go into this corner here and then I put my clutch down and keep it down as I'm going around the corner like this. This is coasting. You see the car's not slowing down enough and I'm getting too close to this car. That's coasting. What's not coasting is moving off smoothly like this, just bringing my clutch up like that as I'm moving off in first gear. That's not coasting, that's just how you move the car off. Or if I'm trying to stop, let's say I'm going to pull up on the left. I'll let these guys go first. They're taking my space, cheeky guys. So I'll just stop in the middle of the road. Let's say I'm stopping here to do a parallel park. If I put my clutch down first and then brake like that, this is not coasting, this is just stopping the car. If you don't stop the car like this, especially in first gear, you run the risk of stalling. So that's not coasting. Don't confuse coasting and normal driving, yeah? Another question that I get is, should you brake first or should you use the clutch first? So when I'm in second gear or higher gear, I would brake first. So let's say I'm trying to stop where that car is over there. I would brake first, and then once the revs get to around 1000 RPMs, I'll put my clutch down, because from then the car will start to vibrate, which means it's going to stall and the gear is struggling at that speed. But if I was in a lower gear, like first gear, I'll show you what happens if I brake first and then use the clutch afterwards. So let's say I'm going really slowly and then I brake first. My RPM's already under 1000 RPMs as I was moving there, which is why I stalled. So to prevent that from happening, what I would need to do is clutch first. So in first gear, I would use the clutch first. I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm slowing down like now, let's say now the revs are around 1000 RPMs, I'll put my clutch down and then you see they still stay around the 1000 RPM and then I can brake gently. The revs don't go down any further than that because my clutch is down. If I was to brake, the revs would go lower than that and then the car would start shaking and then eventually stall. If I'm in a higher gear, like second gear right now, or even third gear, is if I wanted to slow down but then I'll put up my clutch first, see the car doesn't slow down at all. This is the wrong way of doing it, which is why when you're in these kind of speeds and this kind of gears, you would brake first because the RPMs are much higher than 1000, so you brake first and then afterwards you would use the clutch. So another question I get asked a lot is, how do you move off quickly without stalling? So if you're trying to move off quickly without stalling, the mistake people make is they bring the clutch up too fast without any gas, and that way you're going to stall. So a learner might be in a situation where they're about to move off, and let's say the lights changed, and then they try to go like that, and you see straight away the car stalls because you can't lift the clutch up that quickly without it stalling. So to prevent that from happening, let's say you're trying to move off quickly, what you need to do is use the gas as well. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to use the gas, but I'm also going to bring the clutch up to the biting point and not all the way up. So when it's time to move now, add a bit of gas and then clutch to the biting point, then lots of gas like that. And that's how you move off quickly. You don't need to do that really if you're on a dual carriageway or if you're trying to join a fast road. On these kind of roads, you're not going to do it that quickly. So especially in slow moving traffic like this, your foot is constantly on the clutch, and sometimes you can start climbing up on the clutch up to like there, and if it's like there, you can't really control the clutch properly. So what you need to do every time you've moved off and you've got enough time, is just come off the clutch fully and bring it down again. That way you're bringing it back down to where it should be, so it's not all the way up here. You can come off the clutch fully, bring it down a bit, so it's nice and comfortable again. Or if you find that you've stopped in traffic, just secure the car handbrake on, put it into neutral, and then shake your foot out, just relax a little bit, and then you can readjust it again. In these kind of situations, especially at traffic lights where there's a few cars ahead of you, you usually have enough time to readjust your foot. So don't be scared to secure the car and then take your foot off the clutch and then readjust it to make sure that you're comfortable. So there were lots of comments telling me that I should hand in my license because I stopped in the cycle section. But with these kind of lights, where there's a cycle section, if the light starts to change once you've gone past the first line, you can actually stop in the cycle section. So you probably can't tell, but right now we're on a really steep hill. I'll show you how steep it is. So if I put my handbrake down, you see, straight away the car rolls back. So somebody said, is it possible to move off on a hill with just the clutch? The answer is yes, but you need to do it really carefully. So the best way to do it is using the gas and the clutch together, but it is possible to do it with just the clutch, and I'm going to show you how to do it with just the clutch. So if you wanted to move off with just the clutch, you need to be really careful. So right now I've got no gas on, I've just got the clutch. You can bring the clutch just to the biting point and then handbrake down and then be really smooth. It's quite shaky because it's doing a lot of work, and then now the car's moving. The best way to do it is using the gas and the clutch together. I'll show you what I mean. So you want to set a bit of gas until it's around 1,500 RPMs, and then bring the clutch to the biting point. You will know you're at the biting point when the back of your car dips down a bit or the front raises slightly. So that way, we're at the biting point, we've got the gas set, and then all I need to do now, once it's safe, is release the handbrake and bring the clutch up a little bit, and then it will start to move forward. And you notice that I kept my foot on the clutch the whole time. I didn't bring it up straight away, because if I did that, it's gonna stall. If you're trying to do it with just the clutch, just remember, if your car's got lots of people in the car, or it's got a heavy load, or it's an old clutch, you're more likely to stall and it might not work that well, or it might not even move at all. So when you're going uphill slowly, you need to be in first gear in most cars. Like this car, right now I'm doing just under 10 miles an hour, and at the moment I'm just using the gas. But when you want to go really slow, you're gonna have to use the clutch around the biting point, and I'll show you what I mean. At this sort of speed, it's not that hard because everyone's moving at a decent pace, just under 10 miles an hour. But once they go really slowly, it will be a lot harder. So if they're going under 10 miles an hour, it's a bit harder. You're gonna have to use the clutch more to control your speed, and I'll show you how to do that now. So first of all, it's really important to make sure you've got the clutch at the biting point. We're still on the hill, because if you don't, you're gonna roll backwards. So before you move off, get the biting point, and then just keep it around the biting point if you want to go slowly, like there, because if I bring up too high, it's gonna go too fast. If I bring up too low, it's gonna roll back. So just to keep it around there, that way I'm not gonna get too close to this vehicle in front, and I'm not gonna roll backwards. So around the biting point, and then once the traffic starts moving a bit faster, I can move off my clutch. So like, I'll show you what I mean. So like now it's moving a bit quicker, I can come off the clutch all the way because it's a decent pace now, but then I can see the cars are going slow again, so then I can go straight down on the clutch before I brake, because if I brake first, the car is gonna stall. And then keeping an eye on the car's movements up ahead there, they're moving again, so get to the biting point, off the brake, and then keeping it around the biting point smoothly, off the clutch. And then if we've now got a nice gap like this, because that van's turned, I can even add a bit of gas now to increase my speed, but I'm not rushing to get to the cars in front because I can see a big traffic jam up there. It doesn't make sense to rush over there and then have to bang on my brakes again. Instead, I can just approach these guys slowly and then clutch down again gently, brake gently. That way you can drive up the hill smoothly. So this hill here is very, very steep. I'm going to show you what happens if I gear up too soon. So I'm going to get up to 10 miles an hour like normal, then I'm going to get into second, and then you see, so the car's struggling now. I've got my foot all the way down, but nothing's happening. The car's going to eventually stall. So like, you see? So that's what happens if you gear up too soon. What you should do on this kind of hill is use lots more revs, go much faster, and then gear up. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna put lots more gas on. Once I get to like 20 miles an hour almost, then I'll change to second. That way, when I change to second, it will work smoothly. So some roads are so steep that really you should take them in first gear when you're turning into them. I'm going to take this one in second so I can show you what I mean, what happens if you take it in the wrong gear. So I'll slow down enough just so I can take the turn nicely. And the car's really struggling. Then if I put my foot all the way down now, you see, eventually it's going to give up and it's going to stall. So to prevent that from happening, what you should really do in that kind of junction is use first gear, and I'll show you what I mean. So this time, instead of taking it in second gear, I'm going to take it in first gear. So I'm going to start braking gently as I approach it, and then clutch all the way down, get into first gear, and then smoothly bring my clutch up. So that way gear one is engaged now, and then I can take it nice and slowly. Also, gear one is more powerful for moving up a hill like this when you're going slow speeds, and I can use lots of gas and then change into second once I've got lots of gas on, and then that way it's nice and easy to do.